While Finance Minister Ofori Atta has given assurance of undertaking the necessary expenditure cuts to complement the domestic debt exchange program, the Finance Minister Monday made a final appeal for bondholders to sign up for the program, which is set to expire today. The minister said the economy risks collapsing if progress is not made.
Of the DDEP, the government has engaged in good faith discussions and extensive stakeholder engagements of all groups in order to reach a resolution that ensures an orderly path out of our economic challenges, anchored by a sense of community and empathy. Ladies and gentlemen, these significant amendments have enabled government to reach an agreement with key major domestic creditor categories, including banks, insurance companies, capital market players, and foreign holders of domestic debt in relation to their participation in the DDEP. Undoubtedly, the participation of the banks, insurance companies, and the securities industry under the enhanced DDEP is a significant milestone which represents a response to a call to national duty. It is a critical step to restore macroeconomic stability, accelerate Ghana's economic growth under an IMF program, and leverage other international financial support. On the back of these recent developments, the comprehensive agreement of the key stakeholders and the enhancement of the DDEP, Government 1 expects the full participation of institutional stakeholders and mobilization of all qualified investors to ensure the success of the debt exchange operation. And 2, encourages eligible individual holders to voluntarily tender their holdings. Frankly, fellow citizens, non-participation or a lower than expected turnout for the DDEP will prolong efforts to resolve the current economic crisis. In addition, the prospects of international financial support and other financial assurances will be jeopardized. The development could further put strain and stress on government's capacity to honor key commitments. This is not what we want for our economy.
Well, joining us on Zoom, Dr. Daniel Amate-Anim, who is the Executive Director of the Policy Initiative for Economic Development. Thanks for your time. So the Finance Minister attempting to convince individual bondholders one more time to sign on to the debt exchange program. Did his message resonate?
Yeah, thank you very much. I think the last discussing this issue, I indicated clearly that in respect of negotiations and dialogue, the Finance Ministry have not done so much in terms of engaging the critical stakeholders. It appears that he prefers using the media platform to communicate government position to the stakeholders. And to me, that is not so good. The best approach is to identify these critical stakeholders and you engage them in caucus. Caucus means that you put across the impact of their failure to agree to the proposal from government and the effort to restore macro stability. So all these things have to be done in caucus. And once you finalize decisions, then you can now come out to put it across. But it appears that the Honorable Finance Minister always resort to press releases and press conferences, which is not working in my view. It's quite unfortunate that we are at this stage of our economic life as a nation, which we could have avoided. Some of us might have seen it and then make critical suggestions to government over the past. But I think going forward, I'm of the view that the pensioners should be exempted. Why am I saying so? These are people who are not economically active and they rely largely on this investment for their survival, be it medical survival, economic survival, and even some of them to the extent they have dependents that they are using the proceeds to cater for them. So taking them from this arrangement, in my view, will order well for the pensioners. And with respect to other individual bondholders, I think consultation, I've indicated the last time, is the best approach. But the unilateral decision, it appears that they are not in consonance with the unilateral decision from government. And to me, that is the challenge. In the critical moment like this, the way out is dialogue and consultation, which in my view, the Honorable Finance Minister and the team failed to address that particular issue. But I think going forward, it's never too late to try and convince them. I've listened to his communique. It appears that government is indeed appealing to the conscience of bondholders in a quest to revive the economy. But I think they need to step up their game by going just beyond the statement, by way of engaging the critical stakeholders and coming out with an alternative that will ensure that it will mitigate any economic hardship that they may encounter as a result of this particular arrangement.
Talk about alternatives. I'll ask you about that in a moment, but the finance minister warns the economy could collapse if we don't make progress. That certainly should be a concern for everybody, including the bondholders.
Yeah, my brother, the point is that we have appointed the managers of the economy in the first place to manage the economy.
Okay, I think we have a bit of a challenge with the connection to Dr. Daniel Amartenim. He appears to be frozen there a bit, but we're just discussing the finance minister's address to the country once again as the domestic debt exchange program, the deadline for signing up expires. You're making a point, Dr. Amartenim.
Yes, what I'm saying is that government should understand, because in the first place, bondholders have appointed managers of the economy to manage our economy in a manner that we don't have to swallow the bitter pills all the time. So they have failed in that particular respect. And they should be able to communicate clearly to the bondholders to appreciate that, yes, we have failed to do A, B, C, D, but we are at a critical point that there's a need for all of us to come on board to restore macroeconomic stability or to revive the economy. So I believe strongly that once that admission is made, of course, then the bondholders, but if it is, we are making a statement which appears that government is entitled to do that, of course, then bondholders have no option than to comply with what government is saying. To my mind, I think that is inappropriate. Because as a government they failed to actually do what is needful to manage the economy in a manner that investors can have access to their money at any point in time. Okay, but I understand we are at a very critical stage where we all need to come on board. But the bottom line is about dialogue and consultation. And the finance minister should appreciate that and try and convince them, just beyond telling them that the economy is at a point where it will collapse. But because from the lifestyle of people who are in government, we are not seeing that. And that is a fact. So once bondholders are not seeing that commitment from government in terms of cutting down on their expenditure, living a lifestyle that will ensure that we are all sacrificing, I'm afraid they'll find it very difficult to comply or to agree with government in this particular respect.
Isn't it too late to be talking alternatives right now?
It's certainly too late, I agree. I think the last time they postponed the day, I had an opportunity of engaging the media. I indicated that it is an opportunity for them to speedily facilitate their negotiation with the bondholders. As it stands now, it's quite too late. Where I sit, I'm very mindful and I'm aware that they need to fulfill this condition if they really need the IMF inflow into that economy. So the finance minister actually is very hot in terms of meeting the deadline and vis-a-vis bringing on board the IMF money. So it's quite too late. It's quite too late, but they can quickly put some few things around by further appealing to the conscience of the individual bondholders, or quickly try to adjust the kind of arrangement that will mitigate any hardship, probably. So let me be a little bit empirical here. Of course, they can't come out with an arrangement with some of the commercial banks that any pensioner that may need any facility from the bank, of course, Ghana government, for the fact that they are holding EID bonds, could serve as a security for them to borrow at a very competitive rate until such a time when government is able to pay their investment. To me, if such an arrangement comes on board, it will convince individual bondholders, more importantly, the pensioners to be able to comply with government directives.
Before you go, we just have a minute. I want to speak to you briefly about the situation in Turkey. I know you work a lot with the business community there. I read today that the lira, the Turkish currency, fell to a record low yesterday following the earthquakes, but is recovering now. What sentiments are you picking up from the business community?
Yeah, you are certainly right. In fact, a lot of people who plan visiting Turkey for the purposes of business and tourism have to cancel their flights. They are a little bit skeptical, uncertain about the development there. But I think the Turkish government is speedily putting things around to ensure that the occurrence does not affect businesses as well as tourism. So yes, it has affected their currency. If you recall, critically, during the peak of the COVID-19, the next destination for Ghanaian businesses is Turkey. And a lot of people are now buying from there because, number one, competitive prices. Even though China is, in terms of prices, China is better, but in terms of quality, Turkey is still ahead. Proximity, and because there's a straight flight here from Accra to Istanbul. So yes, it's having some kind of swift impact on the economy, but the government is reassuring the business community that they are putting in mechanism. This is a natural phenomenon. It's beyond technology, but they are putting in mechanism to ensure that anybody that will visit Turkey from today on will be assured of safety, will be assured of a business environment that will assure its safety and return back to its motherland.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Daniel Martinim, Executive Director of the Policy Initiative for Economic Development.